Hey guys, welcome to the Solution Architect channel. Before we go into style sheets and JavaScript and a little bit more detail on HTML development, I thought it's probably best now to move to use some sort of editor. We've been using Notepad all the time. It's probably better to use some sort of editor that can help you in your writing of your HTML pages. This video will be what editors can I use to write HTML, and also my preference is Visual Studio Code, and you'll see why at the end of this video. So this video will cover a few things. What is an editor and how will it help me? A list of editors that supports HTML development, and also how to install Visual Studio Code and how to use Visual Studio Code to write some HTML code. So what is an editor and how will it help me create HTML pages? In a programming environment, we call an editor an IDE, an integrated development environment. This is where a developer will use a tool to assist him in coding programs and even HTML pages. Most of these editors that's out there that's got some sort of IntelliSense. Now IntelliSense is a smart code inline completion ability. That means when you type in, for example, if you type in a tag that we know now, a tag can be a header tag can be H1, that will complete it for you. It will show you the list of tags that's available, and that's what they call IntelliSense. So immediately, if you click the open bracket, and I'll show you this in Visual Studio Code, it will bring a list down of a lot of tags that can be used. So this is quite handy. Most editors that's out there focusing on development also have a debugger. That will help you to check your code even before you run your web pages. The next thing that is quite important in an editor, especially for developers, is version control integration. What that means is if you have multiple developers in one team, they can actually integrate their code, meaning they can work on different web pages at the same time on the same day, and then check it into a version control where the version control will be able to build a single build for the whole project that the team is working on. There's other features as well that an editor is giving you, such as additional plugins. We'll get to that later. It gives you color code and it formats your code in a better, it's better to read, easier to read. And there's a lot of shortcuts that you can use, and it's mostly for faster development. Some great IDEs that's out there. Now, I know there's a lot of people that might differ from my preference, which is okay. That's why a lot of developers, they prefer different IDEs, which is okay. I prefer Visual Studio Code. When it came out, I've been developing for a long time, and I used Visual Studio, different IDEs in Microsoft's got different IDEs. And they are just too complex. They're nice to use, and they will give you a lot of different features. But when Visual Studio Code came out, which is a free open source tool from Microsoft, you won't pay for it. I'll show you how to download and install this, and it works on Mac and Linux and Windows, so which is quite good. I think they made a very good choice of developing that open source tool. There's others out there, IntelliJ, maybe more on the JetBrains platform, focused on that. You've got PyCharm, which all of these supports HTML development. PyCharm is very good for Python development. You've got PHP Storm, which is more focused on PHP development, but it's not free. And then you get a few other free ones out there. Like I mentioned, IntelliJ, you've got Lighttable, NetBeans, and a very old one, which a lot of Java developers prefer, is Eclipse. So those are the IDEs. There's probably much more out there. I can't name all of them. Okay, now let's jump into the first thing we want to do is install Visual Studio Code, and I'll show you where to find that installation. I'll take you through that, and also then how to use Visual Studio Code. Okay, so open your browser, Chrome or Internet Explorer or whatever you use. I prefer Chrome, and go to and type in code.visualstudio.com/download. This will take you to the latest version of Visual Studio Code. I'm using Windows, but you can also install it on Linux. Linux Ubuntu works quite nice, or Debian, or it works on Red Hat or Fedora or all of those Linux operating systems, as well as Mac. So you can install it wherever you want. The IDE itself operates exactly the same on each of these platforms. I do have a video on how to install Visual Studio Code on Ubuntu. I'll put the link up here somewhere. I'm not sure where it's going to come up. Just click on that if you want to know how to install Visual Studio Code on Ubuntu. I'm going to do it on Windows. And there's 3 different ways of doing this: user installation, or system installer, or zip. I'm going to just use the user installation. I've got a 64-bit operating system. I can show you how to look for that. You just go to your where you type in systems information, system information. If you just type in system information, you'll get that, and you click on that. And that will bring up the summary of your PC, and you can find look for system type. You'll see there's x64, and this will indicate what operating system you run on. And I'm going to close this, and which one to download here. So if it's 32-bit, you need to download the 32-bit one. If it's, say, x64, you download 64, and use the user installation. That's the most simple and easy one. So I'm going to click that, and the link will automatically come up, and I've already installed this. But I'm going to just reinstall it to show you guys how to do it. So when it's done, you open it, and it's going to ask you to say, I agree with the agreement. It's, if you want to read through this, you know, I don't really read through it. You know, it's just a general license that, you know, covers Microsoft if anything goes wrong on your PC. But generally, this works quite well. I don't think there's any problem with that. Create a desktop icon for yourself. Just leave everything else the same, and click install. And this will take a while. And I'm going to pause and come back when it's complete. Okay, so you've got launch here, launch Visual Studio. Let's leave that on and say finish, and that will open up Visual Studio Code for you. Okay. It will come up like this. I already had Visual Studio Code installed, so I'll have recent ones here. You just have start new, open folder, or add a workspace folder. Now the best way to start a new project is to open a folder somewhere. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new folder, so I can show you how to do that in Visual Studio Code. And I will show you how to navigate. I've got a few extra icons on the left here. Don't bother about that. Just the most important one that you need to know is Explorer. If you click on that one, and there's a debugger here as well. The debugger is there, and then you've got your source control, and you've got a search facility. But just go to Explorer here. There's nothing in there. There shouldn't be anything right there, and you've got a few icons in the top there as well, like File. new file, new window, open a file, open a folder, open a workspace. Now workspace is that if you start a project, you need to have a workspace that contains a lot of files. So I'll show you, it's not just like you saw in the first two videos, is that we had an image file and we also had an HTML file, and everything like that is within your workspace. You can create a workspace and that will create a file for you which contains everything in your project. So I am going to use the terminal, which I really like to use. So terminal, click on that and then go to new terminal. And we'll open something in the bottom here. So I just went to my F drive, and this is where I store my projects. Now, you can do it if you come up with your C drive, you can do it right away just there. But I prefer having my projects in a single folder and just run it from there. So all you do now is we want to create a new folder where we want to store our HTML file. So it's mk make directory, mkdir make directory, and we call this HTML VS Code. So HTML VS Code. Okay, that created a folder for me. If I want to change directory into that folder, say cd HTML VS Code. Now I know there might be people out there that knows C drive or how to navigate within the C drive, but there might be those out there, and that's why I actually show you this, because there might be people just starting out and don't understand what is happening right here. You obviously, if you have access to your computer, you know these documents folders and picture folders and things like that. And this is just where I'm going to store my HTML folders. If you're not on that level yet, then I suggest you need to go read up on that. This is change directory and go into that directory. At the moment, there's nothing in there. What we want to do is we want to create a file. So what I'm going to do, I want to open up this folder structure so I can start a new workspace. So I'm going to say open folder. So you go to your Explorer in here, you say open folder. And my project here that I just created is HTML VS Code. So you go to where your folder is, VS Code. And there's nothing in there yet. So you just say select this folder, click on select. And that will just restart your Visual Studio Code. There's nothing in there. Now we want to start a new file. Okay, so it takes a while to reset. So on here you see VS Code, you see open editors, which means you've got something open inside here. But you want to start a new file. Let's call this, you right click here. I think you can go, no, you can also go here and say new file, or you can say new folder. So let's just go to new file, or right click. It will bring up the same thing, and it will highlight something there, and you can just say, let's call it index.html. And now you'll see that you've got an editor in the middle, like Notepad, but it's just much easy. It's going to be easier once you start getting used to an IDE. Now to do this, you want to start your document. Just open brackets, and you'll see automatically there's a drop down there. Okay, so we know from the first lesson is we need to start an HTML file page, and that starts with doc type, exclamation mark doc type, and that will close automatically closes your brackets as well. You see how easy that was? That's showing me it's an HTML file. This is normally how you start your HTML. And then we start our HTML, which is HTML and close bracket. And that will automatically add the close tag there for you. So remember what I said, front says close. And I'm just going to press enter. And that will indent as well, or use indentation. So first thing is, normally we create our header. You see it, how faster it is to actually develop something in Visual Studio Code. Header, and then we want to put in our title and close it, and that will automatically close. This is our main page. Okay, and then we want to write, after the header, we want to write our body. Body, close it, press enter, just go to the middle there, and our header was H1. You see, you've got a different header tags there, and this is why it makes it much more easier to develop something in Visual Studio Code. So H1, close, and put in your header, say hello world. And our last one was our paragraph, which is P. This is our hello world app. Okay, so I'm not going to go into much more detail. I want to finish off this video. And now, how do you actually view this? Remember, what you need to do is go to File and click Save. But if you go to File again, and you see I have autosave automatically on there, which means if once I finish a sentence or I finish typing, Visual Studio Code will automatically save that for me if that tag is on. So if I click that one, just click it, then you'll see autosave is not on. So if I type in anything inside here, it's not saved. So if I make a change here, I still have to, it shows me that there's a change inside a file, and I have to file and save. I don't like to do that, and that's why I click on the autosave. So if I lose power or anything like that, my file is automatically saved. So let's go and open this on Chrome. And how we do this, just the easy way, right click on this and click on Reveal in File Explorer. Okay, it might open up in my second screen. Let me just drag it up here, and there's our index file, and double click on that, and that will open up inside Chrome for you. So that is how simple it is to use Visual Studio Code. Thank you guys for watching. The next video we will go into style sheets.